Okay, good morning. Today I'm gonna make a firewood inventory video. I know you guys have seen me pretty much just cutting, splitting, stacking, all that fun stuff. So today I'm gonna actually show you all the wood that you've seen in all the videos. I know you can kind of see I'm stacking or splitting or doing other various stuff. I wanted to actually show you guys all this, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a backstory before we go outside. Side note, outside they are doing a whole bunch of tree work, basically on my whole street and the street across from where I am right now. They're cutting down a bunch of trees and stuff like that. Some people are taking it, some aren't. There's a couple trees that they marked on my street, like right in front of my house, that they're gonna, well, not right in front of my house, kind of diagonally from my house, that they're gonna cut down. And as soon as they start doing that, I'm gonna run over there and say, hey, all those logs that you guys are cutting up, throw them in my yard, because I will 100% use them. I'm not 100% sure on the type of tree. A couple of them are oak, and then there's a maple, I believe, but not 100% sure. I'm gonna talk about why I actually cut and split my own wood versus having somebody just deliver it to me. I've done that in the past. You guys have probably seen that if you go back to older videos where we get wood delivered and we just stack it and we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. First, main reason why I do it is because it is simpler to just do it myself. I can look at the wood, I can cut it the way I want to cut it, I can make it the lengths that I want it, and I don't have to worry about, telling people, hey, I want 16-inch logs, I want them to be, on the larger side because I am heating with wood. That's something that I've run into problems with sometimes. I've had wood delivered that is 16 to 18 inches, and sometimes a lot of it is 18 inches versus 16 inches. I'm struggling to make it fit in my stove comfortably, and that's not something I like to do. Sometimes I've bought wood where they say, it's seasoned, and it's not actually seasoned. I live in a very rural area. There's tons and tons of trees around. There's tons of woods around. There's tons of tree companies around too that do tons and tons of work in my town and everything. I can get wood delivered pretty regularly. I can just go on Facebook Marketplace, or I can go on like Craigslist or something, and 9 times out of 10 there's multiple people that are selling wood. If you drive down my street, there's tons of people that burn wood, that are cutting, stacking, doing all that fun stuff. That's something I wanted to talk about. I wanted to do it myself because it just got to a point where I'm kind of at the mercy of other people. I don't want to get wood that I can't burn, and that's a big thing for me. I don't want to create creosote. I don't want to burn something specific. And for me, I've burnt wood since I was a kid. There are tons of pictures of when I was a kid with my sister and my dad, and we were cutting wood, we were splitting it. My dad would go into the woods, he would drag out logs, we would cut them up, my sister and I would stack them. When we got old enough, we would actually cut it ourselves. We would do tons and tons of stuff. So I've been doing this for a long time. It got to a point where I went through a couple sellers. I got wood that I wasn't particularly happy with, or I'd get one load and I'd say, hey, the wood's a little bit too small, is there any way you can split the next load bigger? And then I'd get the next load and it's maybe a little bit bigger, but it's not how I want it to be. I'm heating with wood. I heat my whole house with just my wood stove, and the only time I turn on the heat is at night if I'm not running the stove overnight, which I generally am. But if for whatever reason we're not home, or I plan on cleaning the chimney the next day, I let the fire go out and I'll turn on the electric heat. We have electric heat, by the way. Really sucks. First year we lived here, it was really cold out one day, and we were actually overloading our circuit breaker, tripping the fuse, and so our heat would go off constantly. And this was when my son was maybe a year old. I don't know, I can't remember. It was a while ago. And so we ran into that issue, and the heat kept turning off and turning off and turning off. Our appliances would turn off and turn back on. It just became this massive headache. The electrician came out and looked at it and said, basically, the good thing about electric heat is that they put thermostats in every single room, so you can have each room be a certain temperature. The crap side about it is that it's really expensive. They were charging us a ton of money to just heat our home. And in the wintertime, you want your whole house to be warm. You don't want just your kitchen and your living room to be warm. You want your whole bedroom and every other room to be somewhat comfortable, and we couldn't do that. My dad suggested, hey, get a wood stove. You have fireplaces, you have hookups, you have all that stuff. Do it. And so we went and looked at wood stoves, had one installed. I'll actually show it to you guys really quick. It's not clean, I haven't cleaned it out yet, but it's the Dauntless by Vermont Casting. It does not have the catalytic combustor in it because I wanted to get it without it, and if I felt like I needed it later on, that's just something I can throw in there. So yeah, but that is the Dauntless by Vermont Casting. It's actually a little bit dirty around here. I'm gonna have all this, well, I'm going to clean all this. I'm not going to have it cleaned, but I'm gonna clean all this out. I have the ash bucket, which is partially full. I'll dump that in the garden, and I'll clean all this up as well, make it more presentable and everything. I have that stove. It's a great stove. Vermont Casting makes amazing stoves. The good thing about that is, and I'll kind of give you a comparison. So to heat our house with the electric, it was, you know, we turn it all to like 70. Sometimes we turn it higher because it's just super cold outside, and we have not the greatest insulated house. It's an older house, and you know, it would take all day to maybe get to 70 with just the electric heat. And then with the wood stove, when I get it going and it's, you know, burning efficiently, I can heat the house within like an hour. I'll come downstairs and it might be at like 58 degrees, and I can get it up to 70 within an hour maybe. And then, you know, well, if it's really cold out, I'll get to like 72, 73, 74 or whatever, higher. We did have some cold snaps where it was like in the negative 40s. It was nuts, and the house was still at 70 degrees, and it was super comfortable. Love my wood stove. It's an awesome stove. On those particular nights, I would actually sleep downstairs and I would just be feeding the stove. And the thing that I don't want to do is just that. I was getting firewood delivered that was just so small, and so I'd have to constantly just feed the stove and feed the stove. And so this year is the first year where I'm actually just cutting and splitting my own wood, because I did that for the majority of my life until I was like 21, when I stopped going home to visit my parents when I was coming out of college and stuff. Then I started living on my own and doing my own thing, so I wasn't home a lot. Decided to do this myself now. I own a house. I want to heat it. I want to heat my own. Another thing that I don't like is sometimes you'll call them and and firewood sellers, they'll only have a specific wood. So something I've ran into where they'll say, hey, I only have maple, or I only have oak, or I only have ash. I've had sellers where they say, hey, you know, you can burn ash green, which in some cases, yes, you can. For me personally, I want wood to sit for at least a year, at least until it's very well seasoned. I currently have about 2.5 years worth of wood, give or take. I want to just keep adding to it. You know, wood, depending on the wood, takes a while to season, especially oak. Just let it sit. I mean, it will take a while. I mean, you could let that sit for 2 years, and depending on the density of the wood, it might not even be seasoned yet, which is nuts. I want to burn a mix of wood. That's my big thing. My father did that. My grandfather did that. Basically, they would burn anything that was free and that either they pulled out of their woods, nobody wanted, or anything else, you know. For me, that includes pine. For my dad, that included pine. For my grandfather, that included pine. For a lot of the people that I know, I mean, a lot of people don't like pine. It's a good wood. Doesn't have a ton of BTUs. It will burn really hot, burn quickly. So I burn pine as well. You know, I'll make a separate video later on about why I burn pine and why I actually really like the wood. I'm gonna stop rambling. We're gonna go outside. I'm gonna show you my firewood inventory, so let's hop into it. Okay, so there are birds, noise, all that fun stuff outside right now, but regardless, we're gonna do this firewood inventory video because I've been wanting to make it for a long time, so we're gonna do it. This is all the stuff I have in my front yard that is gonna be used this year. So this is a mix. I would say there is ash, which you can see right here. We got some birch. I love birch. It seasons quickly. It has great BTUs, and you can actually peel off the birch bark and use it to start fires, which is awesome. Ash, there's oak in here, and there's maple. We can go around the back side of it. So we got some more maple right here, some birch. Here's the pine that I was telling you about. We got more pine, birch, there's some oak. Let's see what else we got. More birch, ash, some oak. Yeah, that kind of looks like what we got going on here. You can see that it's seasoning pretty well. Birch to go here. You can have more pine right there, that's seasoning. This stuff, I mean, this was some of the first stuff that I cut. I mean, it's super light. The bark's starting to peel off. I I mean, I wouldn't burn it in the house right now, but it's definitely going to be ready by the time we need to. Then we got this barks. I mean, you can tell the bark just fell off of that. So all this stuff is seasoning right here. Got my log splitter. I need to clean all this up too. I'm actually done for the most part getting logs delivered because I don't want to cut when it's super hot outside. But here's from the front all the wood, as you can tell, which is nice. And so if we go over here, excuse the pile, my kid's ball is right there, and we got some stuff. I actually recently uncovered this stuff. So this is all the stuff. I believe I did this a year and a half ago. I want to say a year and a half, give or take. This stuff is all seasoned. You can tell it's super dry. I've come out here multiple times with moisture meters. I do need to fix this whole pallet rack. If you can see, when you go over here, it's bending out. I never put a side support on it, so I'm gonna end up unstacking all this at some point and restacking it once I actually fix these, because I have better pallets, I have better screws, and they won't fall, and I don't want that to happen. Because my big thing is I don't want it to topple over and fall into this and then push all that stuff back, and then I gotta fix it all, and it'd just be a big headache. So this wood that's gonna go down to the back for burning in the burn pit. Apparently it rained, and that's just sopping in water right now, which isn't a big deal because it's getting burned outside. I have some extra pallets right there that I use to just throw wood on when I'm splitting, because I don't want to sit on the ground and get covered in like sawdust and dirt and other various stuff. So yeah, but I don't want this to fall over into this. It'd just be annoying to have to deal with that. But in this specific pile, there is, or not pile, but stack, there's oak and ash and some maple. That's pretty much all I got in there. And it's, I mean, it's doing really well. It looks really nice. It's seasoned for the most part. Some of the oak, I mean it's cracking. You can tell, like, some of the oak right there looks really good. A lot of this is ash right here. There's some oak right there. It's looking really good. And a lot of this oak was from a tree that we had cut down that I cut up with my neighbor, and it's been, I mean, it was standing dead for years, and so it was pretty dry when we cut it. So now it's just going to be bone dry with this. So the top half of this stack is all stuff that came from my yard, and it was just standing dead stuff that we cut down that I didn't want to end up having like fall on something important. A lot of this is oak, and then on the bottom is stuff that I got from one of our landscapers, and this is all white oak. I got this in July of last year, so I should be able to burn it by this year. I say that's about a year and a half of seasoning, and it should be good. Should be good. It was sitting in a pile for a long time before I ended up cutting it up. So yeah, this stuff should be good. This is a smaller rack that I have, so should be good. So we're gonna go down to the back now. Something that I don't pass up is pallets. I always grab pallets if I can get them, because I'll use them. Even if I don't think I'm going to use them this year, I'll stack them and I'll put them over here, just because I think at some point, if I end up getting more wood randomly, if someone decides to give it to me, I'll have the pallets to stack it. The only thing I don't like about these ones is that they have the little wings and stuff right here, which isn't a big deal. I just cut them off and then I leave the rest of it. So awesome. This stuff is stuff you guys have seen me do recently. That's the maple. Actually, all of this right here is the maple, and right here is the white pine, and then this is the mix of cherry, ash, apple, oak, all that fun stuff. And over here, this is all pine. So the plan that I had with the pine is that I am going to burn just this part outside. I want to burn this outside because I have this giant pile over there that is just like cut-offs, weird stuff, really dead wood that was rotting that I just didn't want to go through the effort of cutting up, and I'm gonna burn it in my burn pit. I have some branches back there that I might cut up and put in the stack, I'm not sure. An old Christmas tree, some bark, but all this stuff is eventually just gonna get burned in there, and that's why I wanted the pine. The tree guy told me the pine had been standing dead for years and they cut it down, and he said if you want to use it this year outside, that'd be great. If you I want to burn it inside, I'd probably give it a year just so everything can kind of dry out. But I cut this stuff smaller because it's, I mean, pine, I generally, if I'm going to burn it outside, I'll cut it smaller just so I can throw this under all the stuff that I want to burn, and then it will just burn, and you know, I won't have any issues. So going back over here, so top half is in a video that I actually posted recently. That's pine, and then ash, oak, maple, cherry. This one's all maple. We'll go over here. And this is ash, oak, pine, birch, and I believe this is pretty much the same thing as well. This is all the wood I have so far. The big thing for me, I don't want to extend too far over here, just because I have, I want to keep this area kind of clear. There's a lot of leaves and stuff. I mean, I could come back here with the mower and kind of cut it down, but there's like a big rock right here, which is kind of annoying. I mean, seems pretty loose. I mean, I could actually take it out. I might bring the mower down here and cut this up. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But this is the rack that I built. If you guys want, I can make a video on how I make these racks, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just, you know, you attach them. Whatever scrap wood that I have, I'll use it to attach it. And you can see, like, I cut off the little wings right down here, and I actually got to go through here and pull this out. But yeah, so I cut off part of the wing so I can actually attach the board, and then just kind of go from there. If you have pallets like this, you don't even have to worry about it. These pallets are awesome. To give you kind of a insight on how much I burn, so I burn, if you look at all of this right here and all of this, I go through this whole rack and this whole rack, minus the pine on the outside. So I go through, and each of these is a cord each. So this is one cord, this is one cord, this is one cord, and that's one cord. So I go through about 4 cords a year. I had 4 cords delivered before, went through all of that, and that stuff was split small, and that was my big problem. I was just getting wood that was split really small. It was just, and it was all maple. It was getting, and I believe it was soft maple from what I remember. It was just getting burnt up so quickly, especially when you split stuff small. It just, you know, it just goes through so fast. And so if you look, I mean, I got stuff like this. I mean, this stuff is, you know, big thick chunks. Some right here. Some of them are smaller, obviously, but I generally try to split all my wood bigger, minus the pine, because the pine I generally try to use to get a fire going again, or if I throw in a piece that is almost seasoned but isn't just there, I'll throw it under it and it will just kind of burn up everything, which is awesome. But it's a lot of wood. It's going to season. All this should be good to go by winter time. But this wood down here actually will not be used until not this upcoming winter, but the winter after that. So it's going to be 2025, I want to say. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, so actually no, it's going to be so this year is 2023. It's going to be 2024. So it'll be 2024's winter the following year. So yeah, so it's gonna be 2024 2025. So I generally try to split stuff larger, as you can tell, and some people will call me crazy that it won't season, stuff like that. This stuff's gonna sit for 2 years. It's gonna sit for 2 years before I even attempt to use it. Good thing too is, I mean, the pallets should last if they start to go. That's why I have extra pallets, and that's why I always get extra pallets. All this is gonna be great. It's gonna be great wood. I currently have 4 down here. I have 4 up there, so that's 8. I have the small one that's about, each one holds about a face cord, so that's about 2/3 of a cord right there. And then I have the other one, the seasoned wood, which is over a cord. So I'd say between those, I have 10 cords, I'd say, because the small cord, the small stack plus the larger one, I believe, is about 2 cords. So I have about 10 cords. Like to start stacking wood here because I don't want to block this tree. I like this tree, and so I'd have to. And the big thing too is that this is on a slope. My whole yard is on a slope, so the wood would be kind of falling into the pallets. So it kind of depends, and then I'd have to move the pallets too. I'd have to move those somewhere else, which I kind of don't want to do. But we'll just see. I mean, summertime and springtime are generally when people do tons and tons of tree work. So sometimes I'll go pick up like a truckload of logs and stuff like that. So we'll see what ends up happening. At some point, I'm gonna make a video on why I burn pine, why I like to burn pine, and yeah, just look out for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is my whole firewood inventory. I have about 10 cords of just mixed hardwood, and it should be just great burning. I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.